Okay, so for the last example for this lesson, I'm going to talk about a graph that was somewhat infamous in the early 2000s, at least among statisticians. And that is what's called the Ithaca Times cover. So the Ithaca Times is a weekly alternative newspaper serving Ithaca, New York area. The December 7th, 2000 cover is arguably considered to be the most misleading graph ever published. Here's a picture of it here. So, why did it upset so many statisticians? Well, let's take a look at it. So, a little closer view. What story is being told? So, most people, when they're looking at this, what they see is there's this one graph about the tuition for Cornell University. The other graph is about the university's ranking. So, just looking at it, especially in the title, why does college have to cost so much? That certainly has not changed. But I mean, looking at this graph, what it seems to be saying is that this ranking seems to be plummeting here, but the costs are kind of increasing at a steady pace. So it's suggesting that you're getting much less for your money. Now, the cover story, why does college have to cost so much, shows a large graph superimposed on a scene from the Cornell campus. There are two jagged lines running across the graph, one labeled Cornell's tuition, the other Cornell's ranking. Now, then again, tuition sees a steady rise in the ranking graph after some early meandering up and down, seems to plummet to an all-time low. So what are the problems? So the clear impression is that students are paying more for less. All right, so in terms of what some issues, well, issue number one is they're different scales. I mean, the ranking graph covers an 11-year period. The tuition graph covers a 35-year period. Yet they are shown simultaneously on the same horizontal scale. A little hard to tell, but you can see the ranking graph starts in 1989. The tuition graph starts in 1965. So really what we need is that this 1989 should have been matched up right there on the tuition guide. Another issue is unknown units. I mean, rankings in dollars don't really match up, so there's no reason why the ranking graph is below the tuition graph. I mean, not really on the same scale. So the vertical scale for tuition and ranking could not possibly have the same units. Placing the ranking graph under the tuition graph creates the impression that cost exceeds quality. Another issue is misleading drop. Especially, it seems like the rankings are plummeting, but this sharp graph in the ranking over the past few years represents the fact that Cornell's rank actually improved from 15th to 6th. So this is where they're ranked 15th, this is actually ranked 6th. So Cornell's ranking actually improved during this time. Here are the graphs separately. So you can see tuition has an increase. I mean, that really hasn't changed. But in the pecking order in terms of rankings, this up and down, this is actually improving. We want we want the ranking to be as low as possible. So this is actually good that it's plummeting.